Hey Buzzers, welcome to the Arrow After Show. We have an extra special episode for you and a great guest, so you're going to want to stay tuned. We are in Season 4, Episode 22, Lost in the Flood.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yeah, great song choice by our special guest, and you heard me right. We do have a special guest, and by the end of this episode, you will know how to... Or not, maybe. I don't know. My name is Alikona Bradford. Be sure to follow me at Boys and Beauty. And if you have questions for our guest, you can definitely ask. All you have to do is hit up the hashtag AFTERBUZZ Arrow, and join the conversation. In the meantime, I will introduce the rest of our panel, or let them introduce themselves.
So I'm Lex Michael, all over social media at the Lex Michael, and I've always wanted to learn how to hi-yas, so I'm really excited.
Cool.
Nice. I'm Tauri Miller. You can find me at Tauri J T-U-R-I-J-Y.
Well, and I am Lacretia Lyon, and of course, anywhere on the internet, you can find me at LACRETIALYON, since there is only one.
All right, that was a mouthful.
No.
Okay, and
Always.
of course, like I said, special guest we have with us today, James Bamford. Hello? Oh, he can't hear me. Hello, sir.
I can hear you.
Okay, there he is. So yeah, definitely make sure you tweet at us so you can ask your questions. But first, we will just talk about the episode. So let's talk about Damien Darhk first and foremost. His romance with Rouvet, little creepy, just a little bit.
It's sweet. They're such a cute couple.
Yeah.
Damien's sad.
Yeah, they're weird. They're weird.
They are weird. I go back and forth between being slightly touched by this caring they do seem to have for each other, and just being abjectly horrified by both of them and everything they do and say.
I mean, I love the power couple thing, though. Like, I think I couldn't imagine any other person for Darhk or any other person for Rouvet. Like, they're the best compliments to one another.
They're simpatico.
They are. They're like the Brangelina of world-ending evil.
Yeah.
For sure.
James? Come. Oh, were you picking your nose, sir?
I can. If you
No, thank you. No, thank you.
No, they're complete equals in their relationship, which is something I've always found fantastic. Yeah, in the writing and in the performances, they both have each other's back, like 100%. So there's no the relationship isn't unevenly distributed as far as a power.
Now, is this okay? So tonight, when you watch the show, is that the first time you've seen it in completion, or do you have a pre-viewing since you're so involved in the creation of these shows?
I've seen a director's cut.
Ah, gotcha.
The director's cut isn't too far off from the final cut. Glenn Winter, the fabulous director of tonight's episode and many of our other great episodes through Arrow history, tends to shoot it pretty close to the wire, meaning his cuts come in, if you know, broadcast time is 42 minutes, and then with commercials, and he comes in usually only a couple of minutes past that, so there's not much time to be cut out. And I believe in this episode he actually came in under.
Oh.
Nice.
He cuts it. He shoots it very tight. You can see his style. He shoots a lot of one-ers, which is also a favorite of mine. He intros his scenes with a one-er, and he may or may not have coverage as a bookend or somewhere in the middle of the scene, like an extra shot in there. But generally, he likes to play out his scenes in one shot, which I find incredibly intriguing. I love watching one-ers. It's like going to a stage play and watching the whole scene play out.
Well, you did that when you directed too, as well. The one huge fight scene that we saw earlier this season, right?
Yes, I incorporated a couple of one-ers into my first episode, 407, and then I just went pretty much hog wild with them in episode 414.
Nice.
you know, I found my stride and realized pacing and you know, I learned a lot from shooting my first episode. As I said, pacing is very important, especially on a broadcast television show. So
Of course.
For my second episode, I was much more cognizant of the time involved, especially in a oneer. Actors hitting marks and hitting specific dialogue points and whatnot. And the pacing of my second episode was much more urgent. Not as urgent as this episode that you just saw, 422, which doesn't stop.
Dude, there was a lot going on this episode. I will say, you know, going into the area of the stunts, there were so many explosions going on during this fight, and I was just curious, like, how many takes do you guys have when you're doing something like that? Is it something where you got to get it right the first time because there's all this rubble falling, or you actually have the opportunity to do it more than once?
It depends. It depends on several aspects. It depends on if there's special effects involved, explosions, rubble, that sort of thing. Again, I don't want to keep bringing up the other episode, but my own experience, for instance, 414, Katie Cassidy and Paul Blackthorne evading the falling rubble, shot in the basement of the abandoned hotel. We had, and that was a oneer with a lot of special effects, a lot of explosions, a lot of rubble happening, and we had one take. So
wow.
You're either taking a chance with things like that because there's no resetting, or you shoot. What I did in that particular instance was I shot close-ups as well with a lot of smoke and whatnot, just in case I needed something to cut away to if the special effects went awry. In particular, in Glenn's episode here in 422, near the end when our heroes are battling anarchy and the whole room is blowing up around them and the ceiling's dropping and that sort of thing, when those big giant ceiling pieces dropped, and they're very heavy, we had one take each time we did that. So
Wow.
we had to be very prepared to, move on. So what we do is just rehearse a lot before we roll the camera, and then cross our fingers.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about anarchy just a little bit. He's over excessive with the use of the word mommy, first of all.
The mommy thing is super weird, but I was really glad to see him take a more active role in the proceedings, and I wasn't sure, they kept him around, he wasn't offed, or he didn't recede into the wilderness at the end of the last episode, so I assumed that he would be showing up in some capacity, but it was really nice to see him as involved as he was. The mommy thing, though, weird.
It was
Very
cute in
creepy.
a Ted Bundy way, though.
No, it was. It wasn't cute in the least. But I was actually glad that somebody got rid of Rouvet. She was getting my last nerve, guys.
So the thought that I had about Rouvet being taken out the way she was is, on the one hand, yeah, that's probably for the best. She was trying to facilitate the deaths of a lot of people. But on the other hand, I really wanted to see... Now the final showdown is obviously with Damien Darhk. There was a part of me that was hoping, because they are such equals and they are this evil power couple, I wanted to see it be the two of them versus everybody else in this final showdown. So it makes sense, and I understand why this was Rouvet's time, unfortunately, and of course it puts Damien in a far more aggressive, angry, vengeful place going into the finale. But I was a little sad to see her go.
Actually, I will say this. So Anarchy, when he was fighting, he had the nunchucks, right?
No, he had the 3 sectional staff, which is amazing.
Because one of our followers was asking, her question to you was, how do you pick your weapon of choice for some of these characters? Do you, or are you just told this is what this character has, work with it?
No, I generally do for most of the characters. I work very closely with the props department, and when a new character is introduced, or when say last season there was quite a few different swords. It was quite a season of sword work. So whenever a new sword would make an appearance, the prop department and myself would get together and go through several different swords, and I would I generally try to choose a weapon that suits the character, suits the size, the strength, the ability. The 3-section staff was actually, when Anarchy originally appeared on our show, was actually scripted.
Oh, okay.
Just the transference, the transformation from the baton to the 3-sectional staff wasn't made incredibly clear to begin with, and it's very expensive to accomplish with visual effects, of course, which we can't afford to do every time. So I devised a way to essentially hide the other sections before it opens, and you see this dramatic opening and spinning.
Nice.
Interesting.
Cool.
And of course, my fight choreographer assistant and additional fight choreographer when I'm directing and when the work is spread out, we're spread very thin at times. Curtis Brackenier is also our Anarchy stunt double, who
cool.
can do some very amazing things with spinning that staff. So
Nice.
as well as Alex Calvert, he's incredibly talented as well.
Cool.
Sweet. I was just gonna say, like, I a few episodes ago were singing the praises of the sectional staff. So I mean, if Anarchy decides to have some disciples, I mean, I'd love a whole bunch of people with sectional
Just
staff.
waving them all over the place.
Yeah,
No one can walk around because the air is full of staff sections.
Yes. And then they just start linking them together. It's like an 18 sectional staff with like 5 people manning them. I'm just saying, it's an idea.
It's a lot of space for that thing to spread out. You need, the set has to be large, or fight outdoors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh.
So something I wanted to ask, because we're talking about how you select different weapons for different characters based on what seems most appropriate to who they are. Does that extend as well to the fighting styles of individual characters, and how do you go about making some of those decisions?
Yeah, definitely. It depends. The first thing, it comes down to character development. So one of the things I always ask our writers and our creators is where did this, when we have a new character, where did this person come from? Who did they train with? What region of the globe are
cool.
they from?
Wow.
So in case there is any opportunities to utilize some sort of cultural weaponry that would be available to them from their part of the world. You can see different cultural influences in different characters' weapons.
I love that. You guys really do your homework, which is fantastic, because I'm sure if somebody from that region also were to be watching, they'd be quick to call you out if something was not accurate, right?
Exactly. We do take creative license, so we don't like to 100% copy. We like to be fairly original if we can, or if we can afford to build an original prop, we will. If we have to go with something off the shelf that's been made, obviously we need to build safe props as well. Most of our swords in general also are made. There is a bamboo version, and they're painted and they look like steel, which you probably can't tell. Our props department does a fantastic job for us, and that's where you get in our sword exchanges. That's where you'll get that speed.
That makes sense.
It's a technique utilized in Hong Kong, or has been for many, many, many years, and that I adopted, also many years ago. And whenever I go into a production and there's sword work to be done, I have them make a bunch of bamboo versions as well.
Nice.
One, it's a lot safer, although getting hit in the head with a chunk of bamboo
I didn't feel good.
is painful, but it hurts a lot less than steel. So
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, doesn't tend to slice you open. It just leaves
Just a big welt. No big deal.
bruise.
Whatever. Who cares?
But you look so tough with it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I always appreciate a good war wound, you know?
Yeah, this was my sword fighting welt that I got.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, okay, so I did go. So I was talking to James via Twitter, right? And I was asking him about different classes to take because I told him I wanted to be a badass too. So he recommended this place called Jam. I've taken 5 classes so far. Done the tumbling, the parkouring, and cinematic martial arts. So I took my parkouring class. There were a few times that me and the entire obstacle just went to the ground. Like I took it with me. It was awesome. We tumbled. And then I had these really cool bruises on my shoulders. And I was just like, yeah, look at this. See, look, you feel so good when you get a bruise, you know? Anyway. Yeah, your face right now.
As long as you don't break something, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
That makes you feel like you're alive.
Yeah, you know?
There's
Anyways.
always going to be a learning curve for something like that, I imagine.
Yeah, you know, pull the muscle in my hip, and I was like, oh god. But anyways, everything's great. Everything's fantastic. I'm going back.
Yep, badass, just like him.
Yeah. Anyway.
I have actually dual hip replacements. So
Wow.
both my hips are titanium. So
Oh.
So you're a Terminator.
He's at least part cyborg.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to be honest, if you're looking at wanting a career in stunts, you have that to look forward to.
Awesome.
Just yeah.
That's
There's not a day that goes by that I don't think it was worth it. So.
That's awesome. I mean, you are truly living your dream and doing something that you enjoy for living, and I think that's just so amazing.
Yeah, it's rare, you know. You talk to a lot of people who aren't happy in their careers and that aren't doing something creative or something that they're passionate about, you know, period. It doesn't have to be something creative. People can be passionate about accounting if that's your thing, you know. My cousin actually is an accountant, and she just loves numbers. I don't get it myself. It's not my thing.
Different strokes.
Right.
Yeah. So as long as you can find something that tickles your fancy, then you're winning, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is. I mean, that is passion and that is commitment to love something so intensely that you will literally put your body on the line to do this thing that feeds you. That's really, really cool. If provided you can do it safely and your body doesn't completely deteriorate on you, that level of passion and commitment. Is that not the goal? I feel like that's what everybody wants on some level. And yeah, like you say, for some people it's accounting. Sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a 100% injury rate with stunt performers. So
Sure.
It's one of those jobs you're guaranteed that some part of your body, if you do it for a long period of time, some part of your body will wear out. I mean, you're a professional athlete, like a football player, basketball player, boxer, you name it. Those parts, you know, whatever they are, they move. There's wear and tear on them, and they're going to strain, bruise, break, you name it.
You know, actually, I wanted to ask you, because we all know via Twitter and via YouTube and everything else that Stephen Amell really loves his stunts. He loves doing the parkouring and all that stuff, and more power to him for being that dedicated to his character. At what point on set do you tell Stephen, you know what, buddy, I think you're going to have to sit this one out?
That's a hard one. Stephen wants to be involved in every stunt, in every way, shape, or form. Obviously, he can't be there 24 hours a day, and we have a shooting schedule and that sort of thing. But when it comes down to it, it becomes a safety call or an insurance call. There are certain things that the studio and our insurers, carriers, just won't allow actors to do, and that's when we require stunt double. But if Stephen had his way, Stephen would do 100% of absolutely everything. Wow. He's a very gifted athlete. He learns fight choreography very quickly.
Nice.
And he's only, we started training together during the pilot, and that was the first time he'd thrown a punch, essentially. Huh. And he's just remarkable. He's a remarkable athlete, and just a pleasure to work with that way. And as a director as well, acting wise, he's also very giving, and he has a very adaptive style. He's very open to suggestions, and he knows his character better than anyone.
Oh, that's amazing.
As you know, he's the keeper of the continuity on set, quite often more so than our script supervisors, than our continuity folks. Stephen knows every scar, every battle, every experience that Oliver Queen has gone through, and he can quote you episode 5 in season 2. 15 minutes into the episode, a fly landed on me and shit. Just as an example. But just as an example to demonstrate, he knows, he goes into that much detail, and he knows better than anybody where, what, when, how his character is, has, was, should be.
Wow.
He's got a great mind for detail.
Wow, that's fantastic. Is there anybody on cast that has surprised you outside of Stephen? But obviously, a lot of our cast members are fighters, and they have their doubles as well. But as far as jumping into things, whether it's been Katie Cassidy or anybody in particular that you're like, wow, I didn't see that one coming, and you're amazing.
Katie, well, on the topic of Katie, rest in peace, or Laurel. That girl, when she was told that she was to become Black Canary, she embraced it with every fiber of her being, and she got in the gym and started training boxing, weights, anything she could get her hands on, sometimes twice a day. You could see in season 3 this incredible transformation in her body and her musculature, and how strong she got. She worked her butt off to get there. I think the first training, I did this with Willa as well. The first training we had, that I had with Katie, I told her to go out and get herself a mouth guard. She was like, "What? Why would I do that?" I said, "We're gonna spar." One of the main details that I like to teach the actors, just to begin with, they don't have to become actual combat ready or fighters. They just have to look like it on screen. But I like to give them a bit of a taste of it to begin with. So I like to do a little bit of sparring, just so they know what it's like to actually hit somebody.
And you beat them up a little bit, don't you?
No. No, I just like to be safe. So I like them to bring a mouth guard and that sort of thing. I let them hit me a fair amount. Most people, most normal people haven't punched anyone in the face for real. They may have hit a bag, they may have hit some hand pads. I've taken kickboxing, which means they've just hit some hand pads. If you haven't really connected with another human being's face, you've not boxed or kickboxed. So I like them to have that experience, even if it's once. and then I also like to give them a little taste of what it's like to be hit as well, because being a fighter doesn't just mean you're dishing out,
Absolutely.
A whooping to left, right, and center to random people. You have to be able to take it as well, and that's a big part of being a fighter, is getting back up, which is demonstrated in our show as well.
Yeah, and I like that too. And I like that we're not watching a show where constantly you just see Oliver and his team winning, win after win after win. There is defeat in there as well too.
Yeah, of course.
If anything, it's more as bad things keep happening to these poor people.
That's true. That is true. That is true. Really quick, what are some of the people in the hashtag saying? If you could take a peek at that for me, Lacretia, that would be awesome. Just so we can involve other people in our conversation. But also, too, I want to make sure we do cover a little bit of this episode as well. I do want to talk about Felicity, her father, and her mother, because there was that whole side story going on with Noah and Felicity having this dad moment and Donna getting jealous. Now, do you guys feel like, in the end, when Donna told Mr. Dad that you need to leave, was it in part her own selfishness and jealousy, or do you really think inside, in her gut, she felt like this dude is bad news and he hasn't changed?
I'm going to say both. And I think, too, it's key that we got the revelation finally for Donna that her daughter's been working with the Green Arrow. So her daughter has also been, in her eyes, keeping something pretty big from her. And then when she sees Felicity and Noah, what looks very much like they're bonding, it probably freaks her out a little bit, because I'm sure she feels a little bit of jealousy as far as that relationship goes. But also, for sure, I mean, the dude's a criminal.
Well, wait till she finds out that Oliver's the Green Arrow.
Right. Well, then I'm also going, so she also essentially lied to her daughter and let her daughter believe that Noah had left, when in fact she took her daughter and left him. And I really appreciate, it's the second time in a couple weeks where Donna has said or done something that read to me almost as a little hypocritical, but in a way that I appreciated, because it gave her character a lot more color and a couple of new layers.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of hypocrite, that makes Felicity a hypocrite, because she used to get mad at Oliver for keeping secrets to protect people, and there she is lying to her mother.
Oh yeah, This is a wonderful cast of lovable hypocrites. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like that Curtis points that out, that she's essentially a mirror image of what her mom is trying to portray.
Yeah.
Yeah, how awesome was it to see Curtis and the Smoke family? I love how she came home and saw him just drinking a beer, laying back because her parents are fighting.
Yeah. Well, Curtis has always had this awesome quirkiness to him, but I feel like he also, too, has become the comedic relief. Before it was Felicity, but now she's wrapped up in her own situation, so now we have Curtis to do that.
There was also a very, very small moment tonight, and it was when I believe Donna was going in to hug Felicity really aggressively, and she grabs the beer Curtis has and takes a sip really fast, hands it back to him, and it looks very much like the handoff, it got back into Curtis's hand, but it felt like the actors had they just slightly missed each other's hands, and so the handoff was a little awkward, and it felt really weird and human and natural, and I don't know, really tiny detail that I enjoyed.
Yeah, they have such great sibling chemistry, it's almost, since he was so involved in this. And yeah, like you say, I agree that about Donna. Yeah, I think that there's more to what Noah did other than hacking and gambling and all this. Like, he may have been violent at some point, because to me, the way she looked, what else is there?
Yeah. This is totally left wing here, but I do want to bring up Malcolm's hand just a little bit.
It was fabulous.
It was very fabulous. Very fabulous.
I love the design of this, and I love that they don't address, like, I got a new hand. He just suddenly has a Sauron glove. And we were watching, and I think we all had the same reaction when we first saw him, because he's got the sword on his belt. And so obviously he's resting his hand comfortably on the top of the hilt of his sword, but the positioning of it just makes him look like he's ultra sassy at all times.
No. I'm pretty sure that had to be Barman's, idea, to be sassy all the time. I'm like, now we need a new toy with the sassy hand. Make it happen.
So, James, did you have anything to do with the design of the sassy hand? Was that you at all?
No, definitely not. That was, I stay away from sassy as much as I can. That was our prop department.
How's it been working with John? I hear he's quite the Joker.
Hard.
Hard? Is that what you said?
Hard. Yeah, John is, actually as a stunt coordinator and as a director, John is incredibly professional. He's really formally trained.
Really?
Yes, in the UK, and he's one of those guys that just says, if you don't like what I do, just tell me. Just tell me it looks ridiculous, and I'll change it. He doesn't mind criticism. He actually asks for it. He wants to hear from you if you're not enjoying, his performance whatsoever, and he likes you to be blunt as possible. But of course, he's usually like bang on. He's uber talented as well, and he's been doing this for quite some time. I don't know if you've seen any of his stage show.
I mean, I've seen him ice skate. I've seen him be a drag queen. I've seen him sing and dance and do everything else. So yeah, he's a unicorn.
See that, he's doing that pretty much continually in between takes, show tunes and you name it. So he's sort of like Robin Williams, actually. He's like a one-man show, just on a continual loop, just going and going and going and going.
It's hilarious. Well, now, will he be fighting anytime in the near future? I mean, I know you can't really tell us too much about what's going on in the season finale, but I did notice this time around a fight started, and then he's like, gotta go, and he ran around the corner, and I went, oh, there he goes.
Yeah, it seems to me he's sort of trying to stay out of having to have anything to do with fighting the team, as much as he's joined the other team, if you will. He still appears to have a soft spot for his daughter, and I mean, let's face it, he did watch, no matter if it's his mortal enemy or what, he did watch Oliver grow up. And
that's a good point.
He was his son's best friend. So that's what I always sort of go to, just as a father myself, or and I've got a she just turned 23 last week, year-old daughter, as well as a 2-year-old, and I've seen her friends since she was 4 years old. She's had the same friends grow up, and now they're these women, and I couldn't, whenever I look at them, I see these little kids still. I see these 4-year-old kids. So to me, when Malcolm looks at Oliver, even when he looks at him in the Green Arrow outfit, he sees this little boy that used to play with his son.
That is such an excellent point that I never thought of. I did notice, though, I did make the connection that he never really truly was hurting them at any point, even though he was, like you said, on the other team. And I'm sure he already knew, because when he was having the conversation with Ruve down the street, and she had found out that the green hood and the black helmet, there we go, showed up, and he's like, oh yeah, well, it's probably because at the end, well, you created that mess, fix it. But I'm sure he had to know that was going to happen anyways. He's not stupid.
They do always tend to show up.
Yeah. I don't know.
What they do, it's their show.
That's an excellent point.
We're gonna sit this one out tonight, guys.
What the fuck are you doing here? Or well, I guess Adam has showed up on our show. I guess they've all showed up on our show, so you wouldn't go, what the fuck are you doing here? You'd go, oh, hey, welcome back.
Yeah.
Now go back to your own show.
Yeah. Get out. Get out.
Hey, Supergirl, what's up?
Now, so when they do the crossovers, are you who choreographs that then?
Yeah, that depends on what's going on. I mean, traditionally what's happened, the first crossover we had was on Flash. So it was Arrow versus Flash. And so I would choreograph that fight, and then I would we'd work on Arrow all day, and then we'd go over to Flash or shoot all night. That's what we did the first couple seasons with crossovers. But Arrow is still so incredibly busy. It's just, it has become too much. So we'll exchange ideas. We have another team on Flash. We have another team on Legends. Even on this episode alone, on Glenn's episode, there was one day we almost had 3 units going, where we had like 3 different stunt coordinators wandering around.
Oh, wow.
You know, oh, there's stuff going on over there. Quick, run over there. We're gonna blow that shit up. You go over there. I'm gonna fight over there. You go over there. You know, just to be able to get you. Yeah, I mean, you saw the sheer volume of what's going on in the episode. So it it depends on primarily scheduling. So, like I said, before I used to be able to. Now there's 3 shows going and well, 4 now with Supergirl. So it's impossible to be in all those places at once. It's just impossible. We wanted to keep, you know, sort of involvement in all the shows and sort of have me somewhat start them off with the fighting styles and make sure they're on the right path. Of course, Supergirl was done in LA, so I wasn't involved. But with Legends in the beginning and with Flash in the beginning, and then we go off and I go back to Arrow, and the team that's over there, it's over on Flash and it's over on Legends, are, you know, self-sufficient, and they run, you know, their own. They're all very talented stunt coordinators and fight choreographers in their own right. But still, you know, every once in a while I'll go over with, you know, if Steven's going over there, I'll go over and make sure everything's all right, and make sure his, you know, his style and his prowess is serviced properly. Even if I'm not particularly choreographing the moments myself, we'll have discussions about it with the other guys, and just, you know, make sure that he's looked after and the continuity of his character is maintained.
Cool. Really quick, so Lacretia, I want to hop in the hashtag again. Make sure we're involving anybody. Anything going on in there that we want to talk about?
Yeah, we actually have a couple questions on the hashtag. Basically, he wants at Arrow TV _ wants to know, were you able to utilize the things that you learned in Thailand at the Muay Thai camp on the show?
At Arrow TV. Yeah, many times. I went, that was 2 years ago. At the end of season 2, I went to first Hong Kong, spent some time with Selena Jade and her fiance, who was Shadow on our show.
Shadow.
She found out I was going to Thailand to train, and she said, "You can't go there without stopping in and saying hi to me in Hong Kong." So I'm like, okay. And she introduced me to Tony Jaa while I was there, of Ombak fame, and he was working with Jackie Chan's old stunt team on a film called SPL 2. So I stopped by there, and I went to the fight rehearsals and just had a great old time. And then went on to Thailand and trained for 3 weeks a month in a Muay Thai camp for about 6 days a week. And between those 2 experiences, I've utilized.
How old were you? I'm sorry, how old were you when you started training?
Originally?
Yeah.
I got karate lessons. I started in a Japanese style, Shotokan and Shorinji Kempo karate, and then Filipino Eskrima, blah, 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 blah. I could go on. But I started when I was about 8 or 9.
A long time ago.
Nice.
Are you saying I'm old?
Oh, no. No. I mean, like, that's just a lot.
I am.
Yeah. No.
I'm 49.
Oh. Well, you look good. Fighting has kept you young and youthful.
I moisturize.
Okay. Yeah. Sunscreen and moisture, guys. Okay. Anyway, do we have any other questions for him before we keep on and moving?
Let's see.
I will say somebody took note of Damien Dark's daughter. We haven't talked about her. I think she's secretly creepy. It runs in the genes.
Yeah, they keep calling her Wednesday Addams in
Yes.
the chat.
Yeah.
We get a lot of comments.
What her name is?
What is it?
Her name is Tuesday.
There you go.
Wow. That
Really?
makes a lot of sense.
There you go.
How funny.
That's great.
How
Tuesday
funny.
Dark.
That's what that is.
So I have a question if we don't have one immediately in the chat, because we're talking about your background and how you started taking karate lessons when you were quite young. How does that passion for martial arts, for example, and this natural inclination you have towards athleticism, how does that eventually become a career for you? Like, when does that happen?
When I was a kid, before I started martial arts, I used to watch a lot of really cheesy shows on TV with my dad, like Lee Majors films, like $6 Million Man.
Yes.
And of course, Charlie's Angels, and The Fall Guy, and that sort of thing. And I used to ask my dad, like, Dad, how does he jump so high? Dad, oh, blah, blah. And he would say, that's not him, that's a stunt. And I'd be like, I want to be that. And that was, very, very early on. And I had a choice when I was around 8 or 9 I was going to join a football team or start martial arts. And I was playing basketball at lunch, and I went for a jump shot, ended up spraining my ankle really badly, and I couldn't run. So football got thrown out the window. So my parents said, well, you're going to do this instead. And I got put into a wonderful karate club, and which was a launching point for many other martial arts training. And that's basically what got me started. And, you start competing in martial arts. I got into full contact later and was kickboxing, and, was knocking people out and getting knocked out, once. But and then eventually I was a juvenile corrections officer.
Wow. Oh.
And while I was doing that, I got a call from my sensei, my karate instructor for many years, and somebody had called him, and they were looking for a 6-foot-tall Caucasian, 170-pound, that was a long time ago, 170-pound martial artist that could do tricks, kick cigarettes out of people's mouths and do flying side kicks over many people and all this sort of stuff. And so they had us it was a stunt coordinator at the time, which I had no idea what that was. I was early 20s. And we put some stuff on tape, my instructor and I, on VHS back then. Mm-hmm. And sent it to the stunt coordinator, and I got a phone call, and it was for a TV series called Cobra. Michael Dudikoff was the actor. You may know him from the American Ninja or other classic movies. And they needed a stunt double for him. And so they called me and said, are you the guy on this tape? I went, yes. They said, come here and prove it. So I went to Vancouver. I was living in Victoria at the time, and I went to Vancouver and did basically a live demonstration, an audition, if you will. And they were like, oh, great, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, well, I'm just going to go home. They said, no, you have a place to stay? And I was like, no. And they said, stay at my place. You're working tomorrow, and I need you to choreograph a fight, by the way, because I'm not a martial artist. Oh, okay. My first day on set, I choreographed a 2 or 3-on-1 fight against me, and that was the beginning.
Nice. Very cool. So you didn't choose it, it chose you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate, extremely fortunate. And luckily I had performed a lot. And when I say perform, like as in a show, not just fought, practically I'd performed a lot in live shows that we used to do with our club, on stages and whatnot, at schools, at fairs, and that sort of thing. So I was used to an audience, and stunts is a performance sport. Mm-hmm. So it's part performance and part professional sports. So it's a really strange combination. Atlin Mitchell, one of our fantastic stunt performer. Her background is Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, cool.
And she was a very high-level gymnast previous to that as well. So, stunt people come from, all walks of life, but generally they come from some high form of athleticism.
Huh. Well, speaking of high form of athleticism, there was a transformation this evening with Tiana.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's my...
Segue.
Yeah, thank you.
The transformation from can't take bullets in the torso and live to can take bullets in the torso and live.
That definitely happened. And along with the mental transformation as well, because now she's a little cuckoo.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
He's drunk on power.
There you go. That's a
magic
great
changes
description. That's a great description of it. Oh, I thought you...
Lizard eyes does that every time.
What happened? What?
What?
She got the lizard eyes.
Oh, yeah,
Lizard
lizard
eyes.
eyes. Yeah, no big deal. It's sexy. It is. It's how I get all my dates.
Yeah, some people actually buy contacts so their eyes look like that.
Really do.
It's
They
a
really
thing.
do. Yeah. But, I'm interested to see what the connection will be, because obviously we have these two stories that are constantly paralleling, and, we have a combat between coming up, I assume, with her and Ryder for this idol, and then also, we didn't hear much about the idol this episode in terms of Damien Dark. We know that he got a lot stronger. He dissolves arrows and repels bullets and all this stuff, but also at the same time, too, none of that really matters when you have a broken heart. And now that wifey is out of the picture, he just wants everybody dead. So,
Yeah.
They still got a daughter. I felt very bad. I mean, I was there obviously when Rouvet was killed, and I felt bad because Janet Kidder, the actress who plays Rouvet, is such a wonderful person and such a talent as well, and she plays that part,
well, very well.
She was the right person for the job. And also as a parent, all I can think of is, oh, the poor kid.
Yeah, but that poor kid's probably somewhere inside very, very evil. That's my prediction. Just saying.
You mean she's really pretty fucked up?
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it.
It's like, yeah, it's a bummer. It's horrible, the thought of this kid having to grow up without one or both parents. But when it's those parents, I'm going, maybe she's better. Now, maybe becoming a child of the system is not a great thing.
Right.
But
Better foster home, yeah.
might be. They might be nicer, at the very least, not genocidal.
Yeah. That is a problem.
Genocide, no good.
No, not so bueno. Not so bueno.
Yeah.
And obviously he comes back and he's ready to bring hell to us. So, and the thing is, too, is I actually read some interviews that Stephen Amell had done, because they had asked him, I don't know if I mentioned this last episode, but how would you describe the season finale? And his description was, where did everybody go? And we saw at the end of this episode, the explosions from down under affected above, because there's a big hole in the ground. I'm just wondering if that just means a whole lot of stuff is about to crumble to the ground and everybody goes their separate ways. I don't know. I'm looking at James, who might know the answer.
Just more bad stuff will happen to these poor people.
Yeah.
I do know the answer.
You're like, and I'm not going to tell you. He likes his job way too much.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. A lot of people in the chat are asking about the movie that's in the background of your screen, and since you did tell us it was Seven earlier, which is not a martial arts movie, but it does prompt me to ask a question that was a recent news article about Kevin Smith possibly coming over to Arrow with Onomatopoeia and being more of like a Seven-esque episode. So, is that a possibility for next season?
Couldn't tell you. There's a secret. There is a secret directors list that goes around. Not secret. And directors are proposed, and they get approved by the network and everyone. And I myself have not seen that list. But I do know that I will be directing again next season.
Yay! Congrats!
Cool.
And an interesting episode or two. The movie in the back right now is The Raid.
Right.
So good.
So that actually prompted a question that I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to ask because I'm going to jump back a second. It was interesting a little while ago to hear you describe your experience directing 407 as such a learning experience for you. My experience watching that episode specifically was, especially when you get to that really long fight sequence at the end, and I promise you, I'm not just saying this because we're talking to you right now. I said it when we talked about it right after it
We were
aired.
holy shitting all over the place.
It is among, if not the best conceived and executed fight sequence that I have seen on television, period. So I wanted to ask you, because you're clearly so enthusiastic, because I feel like you can't create something like that unless, yes, you've got to be very capable and knowledgeable, but you have to put your whole heart into it. I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're a big fan of, you're watching The Raid, so you must be a big fan of movies of that ilk. And I wanted to know if somebody were to ask you really quick, like off the top of your head, a couple of movies fairly recent that you would go to that you think are sort of the creme de la creme of action cinema right now, what would you tell people?
Yeah, The Raid.
The Raid, yeah.
That's about 4 years old now. The Raid 2, I enjoyed. I liked the first one better. SPL 2, that film I was discussing, I attended the rehearsals when I was in Hong Kong. That's a Tony Jaa and Wu Jing film. Not Donnie Yen, sorry. Ip Man 3 came out. I didn't like as much as the first one. I didn't like the second one as much as the first one either. But pretty much anything with Donnie Yen in it. You know what I really enjoyed and recently, which was Civil War.
Yes. As you brought up The Raid, that there's that fight sequence on the stairwell that feels very, very Raid inspired to me.
In Civil War?
Yes.
Yeah. There you'll find a lot of Raid inspired.
Oh, sure.
These days. But I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, I've been watching. My mother worked for a Cablevision company when I was a kid, so we had access to international satellite films, television from all over the world. If we wanted, for free. It's one of the perks of having a job at a Cablevision company. But it was a small local Cablevision company. It wasn't a big deal. But I, of course, when I was a kid, loved Jackie Chan films. I loved Jet Li movies. I loved Bruce Lee movies. So I've been watching these films since I was, like I said, I'm 49. Since I was young. Since I can get my hands on Hong Kong martial arts movies. So what I always like to say is a punch is a punch and a kick is a kick.
Sure.
Everything's been done. The human body only has 2 hands, 2 legs, unless you're a mutant.
Right.
But the human body only has 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 elbows, 2 knees, head. You have so many weapons. Everything's been done at this point. By now, the combination thereof with acrobatics, depending on what it is, depending on the character or the genre, it's how you shoot it and how you go about shooting it. How you display the martial arts, how you display the fight sequence is really the difference. And I think that's what, if you enjoyed, as you're saying, you enjoyed 407 and you enjoyed the elevator fight in particular.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's and you can clearly see Thea in there. You can see the combatants enter the elevator. You can see the elevator close. You can all these little details that I, was very meticulous about. That the fight was designed around the camera move. So that's a shot that I wanted to do for years, and I wanted to do this. They basically wrote it in to the script for me. I pitched it a few years ago, and it was written into my episode. basically, they said, what's your dream fight? And I said, well, I want to do this. And then Curtis, obviously I can't, when I'm directing, I'm prepping, well, you're prepping everything. You're looking after everything, every aspect of the episode, from props to wardrobe to, you have to approve, you have to go to meetings, locations. So Curtis, my other fight coordinator, put this together, and I'd come into the fight rehearsals, and I'd go, oh, cool. Oh, yeah, make sure you do this, make sure we get that. And we discuss. I'd show him the camera move. I brought him to the location. I said, I need the fight to go from here. It has to go in here. It has to come around this corner. It has to go in there. It has to go down there. They need to fall down at this point. I got to look down at the camera. And all that kind of stuff. So we worked together probably a lot more than most directors would with the stunt department, obviously, because I'm part of the stunt department. And the fight was designed for the shot. There isn't always time on television to accomplish this, just because, like I said, time.
Yeah.
So by the time the director and the stunt department have sort of come to an agreement or a communication on what's required, you're racing to get it done, and you have your rehearsal time, and I'll shoot a previs of my choreography, usually show it to the director for approval. Okay, cool. And then maybe the next day or 2 days later, we're shooting it on set, so there's not that much time to mull it over and such.
Yeah.
So the difference being, when I'm directing, as soon as I read the script, I'm already thinking about what obviously the action is going to be, because that comes naturally.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing out ideas to my guys, and this is what I want, and I'm very specific about what I want, action wise. And and so the action portion of my episode wasn't the learning curve. That was just something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted some other director to shoot a fight in that manner.
And then you got to be the director that did it.
But I got to do it. I got to do it justice. I got to do it the way I thought it should be shot. Glenn Winter is obviously someone that really knows how to capture action as well. He's very visual, and he knows the camera like nobody's business. So he's also been a great mentor, as far as watching him direct was basically in season one, and then in season 2 is when I approached Greg Berlanti and asked if he would give me an episode, which of course he followed through with.
Well, what I was going to say is, for anybody else who are, because one of the Twitter followers had asked about behind the scenes footage, and today we aren't going to be playing any footage, but I did find online that in 2014, I was not aware that you guys did a mini documentary. It's 10 minutes long, I do believe, and if I get this wrong, please correct me, James, but it's called Wirework: The Impossible Stunts of Arrow. I tried to watch it on YouTube, and it says you must pay for this video, but there's no option to actually pay for the video to watch the video. I was really bummed.
Boo, YouTube.
That was a behind the scenes sort of a DVD extra, I believe.
Oh, you have to buy the DVD to see it then.
Yeah, it's either season 1 or season 2.
Yeah.
It's not a very long one. It's a short. It's fairly short, I think. But
all right.
we did a lot of. I had like a stunt series on the CW website.
Mm-hmm.
So Curtis would send our finished previses to the network, and an editor there would put them up against the finished product, and then I would basically do a voiceover. And,
we watched some of those.
Yeah, so I used to do that all the time. They stopped sort of asking for them. After a while, it gets worn out, I think.
To some people, not to all of us.
All right.
anyways, I don't know. It just happened. We had a weird screen shift. But I do have to unfortunately cut this short because we're running out of time. But thank you so much, James. I know that you are in a completely different country, so we appreciate you staying up with us and chatting and answering a bunch of our questions. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm watching movies. So.
Oh, good times. Good times. Great way to spend a movie with us. Anyway, Buzzers, thank you so much for joining us as well. We appreciate it. Make sure you take the time to follow all of us, including James Bamford on Twitter. I'm Boys and Beauty 01. This gentleman over here is...
I am all over social media at the Lex Michael, and I really quickly actually have something to plug really fast. I am a co-producer, writer, creator, star of a new comedic web series called Us Two that is debuting online this Friday. It's about two best friends, total doofuses with hearts of gold that really want to be a part of something. Yeah. Their attempts to be part of something inevitably land them flat on their faces. We had our big premiere last night in Hollywood. Alikona was there.
Yes, it was awesome.
Very exciting. We're really excited to share it with everybody. When links are up, I'm going to be posting it all over social media. So please, you guys are on the internet right now. You're on the internet all the time. So take a minute while you're looking at all the fun stuff and look at us too. Thanks.
I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J, TAURIJAY.
And of course, I'm Lacretia Lyon. Find it anywhere at LACRETIALYON, since there is only one.
And James, is there anything you want to plug while you're on here?
No.
Okay. Well, in that case, just give all your fans a big, huge, manly kiss, I guess, or I don't know, something. Goodbye.
Season finale is next Wednesday. Please watch it. It's epic. And we lost a lot of sleep making that one as well. So please make it worth it. Everybody's going to love the finale. It's very exciting, and it answers every question you've had all season. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Good night, sir. And good night to all of you at home. We will see you next week for the season finale of Arrow. Make sure you tune in then. Until then, mwah, good night, good morning, or good afternoon. Or whatever.
Bye.
Happy tea time.
All of them.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.